So, I have some questions for you for this podcast on defining green flags. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because we spoke about our demon tendencies.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I feel like there's this notion that if you are a red flag, or red flags are associated with like hot, sexy, spicy, like
Not me wearing a whole red.
yes. You are the red flag.
I did not plan this. The universe is trying to out me. Oh my god, okay.
But like green flags are more associated with like calm, basic, boring, like the safe route.
Yeah, very vanilla.
Yeah, like vanilla type. But I can tell you that isn't the case. But why do you feel like we maybe tend to think that way?
Offhand, I think it's... I feel like we either think it needs to be black or white, or it needs to be right or wrong. But there's always context and perspective. Because I do feel like in facets in my life, and maybe at some stages, or maybe at some particular years, I displayed red flag tendencies. But I don't think it makes you a bad person. I think for me, like transformation and your ability to be self-aware is so attractive. So you could have, yes, because we all have like toxic traits.
Yes.
Or like bad habits. Like we don't have to make it that serious. But your ability to know it and work on it and make it something that you can learn from is good. So I think maybe it's like with our mind either wanting to have clear distinction between, oh, this is a red flag, this is a green flag, or it either has to be black or white, like there's no gray area. I think maybe that's why we have that notion to think about things like that. Yeah.
I think I agree with that. But also, like, even us just talking about green flags in this episode, it's not, again, like you mentioned, to say that someone can solely be a green flag. Because you could be a green flag and have red flag tendencies, but it's your ability to work on them, acknowledge them, etc. I think there's a lot of pressure, and you can agree or disagree with me, on men when it comes to this red flag, green flag thing. Like, women have this preconceived expectation of what men should be to them, but it's almost given that all women are all of these good things, but it's not always the case.
Yeah.
So, like, what is your view?
I agree with that. And I think in one of our previous episodes, I really want to also not make this a podcast that shit talks men.
Yes.
And like, men ain't trash. Well, some of them are trash, but
Some of you men are trash.
Absolute trash. But for the majority, I think we also have to start creating a narrative and sharing a perspective that, like you saying, we want men to like step into their feminine energy. And in order for them to do that, we also need to create a safe space for them, to feel like if they show up like that and not the manly man, that we're still going to respect them for it and validate them and hold space for them and grace for them. So I do think that the perspective is so important that, yes, we do need to, I think just in general, hold people accountable. Not particularly a man or a woman. We need to hold people accountable for when they are wrong. And for me, what's been telling on how we brought it down to a very like urban green flag, red flag topic. But for me, as I'm getting older, energy is such a telltale sign for me with people. Because there's sometimes I can interact with you and you can smile in my face and you can laugh in my face, but there's just this thing that's in me that like is sending warning signals, possibly my gut, possibly like the energy, whatever that I'm picking up, that's telling me like your intentions are not pure, or like I don't, like you're saying one thing but your energy is giving me something else. So I think with this whole like green flag thing, it's also about listening to your gut and your instincts a bit more when people, because like I said, it's always perspective and context. Like you can hold that grace for people that you love, right? And you can hold that grace when people mess up, because we're all humans and we're bound to do that. But I think just knowing what your boundaries are as well, and knowing what is like a non-negotiable and deal breaker in those relationships like helps me gain perspective of who's in my like circle and who I am willingly wanting to give my energy to.
True.
Yeah, and invest in, because
Yeah.
that should be a mutual investment. Yeah.
But speaking about energy, right? Again, coming down to social media, because I see it so often. I think, again, there's this expectation that your partner needs to be like the ultimate green flag, needs to be perfect
Yeah.
for you in order for them to be like a good partner. But I think that that's such a selfish
Yeah.
way to look at it, because I know that there's things that I need to work on.
Yeah.
And if I'm not perfect, which nobody is, how do we have that expectation of other people?
somebody
And
else.
I get that there's bare minimum.
Yes.
But I see things now where it's like, oh, you guys shouldn't be splitting the bill. Or if your guy's not paying for everything for you, then he's not the one. Or like, you need to already have this guy that's overly ambitious or has money or could do this for you, else like I don't want him. But I think that's such a shallow, like, oh, it ups
No shade,
me.
shade.
I'm like, that is so shallow.
I agree.
My dad always tells me, and I think I keep this quite close to me, and this is
Yeah.
just in general, and it's so true. When you die, nobody's there like, oh, this person had a Lamborghini and had this. They speak about, like, no one will ever go there and speak about you and the clothes that you
Yeah,
wore,
yeah.
or the makeup that you bought the most expensive makeup, or you went here to do your face, or whatever. They talk about like how you treated people, like your ability to show up, your kindness, your love, your those are the memories that sit with people, and that's the legacy that you leave behind.
Yeah.
Because I think even when we talk to each other and what we want with this movement that we're creating with Friends with Benefits, it's like we want to leave a legacy. I don't want to be a trend.
Yes.
I want to be a legacy.
Yeah.
And it's so different because trends are
That's
here,
true.
up
Ebbs
and down,
flows.
like
You're
so,
hot and then you're not.
yes. So I think to have that expectation of your partner is wild.
And it's like you subconsciously are always taught about it. Like Cinderella losing her slipper.
Yes.
Or like Beauty and the Beast. And you have this, you create this toxic ideal of what a man should be. And the man is also thinking, okay, I also need to be this. And I think we just have to hold space for people to be who they truly are. And what you were talking about now brings me to two perspectives. Number one, I've realized that my idea of love and my idea of what a good friendship and commitment is completely different to another person.
Yes.
Because I think it's also shaped by your upbringing and how you've seen your parents interact in relationships. So in my circle, we are all in. Like, if you're my friend, I'm giving you 110%. If you're calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning crying, I'm there. If you say, oh, I did something of like, this is a big major event in my life, I would try to think, okay, what thoughtful things can I do to show
I
you that
murdered someone, let's bury the body.
no, Priyanka. Just showing up. But for other people, it's not necessarily the
Yes,
same. And the
yes.
same goes for like love. Like we are obviously wanting or are in relationships that are really intentional, that have like that emotional connection. And for some people it's not. Some people are just like, you want a relationship there where you have financial stability, where you know that this person, I don't know, comes from a good family or whatever the case may be, and it's to them that's everything, and to somebody else is the bare minimum.
But is that not transactional?
Well, yes, it is. But I think what's like a telltale sign for me is that we have different perspectives on what those notions are, and for us to place our perspective or expectations on other people is unfair. So I think your people, and I think you can have relationships without investing too much in them. And that goes for like certain friends and certain families. Like you can still maintain that relationship, you can still show up, you can still be, your authentic self, but there needs to, like, you have to give what you get at some point. Otherwise, you'd go insane.
But that's a little more tricky in like a romantic
Yes.
relationship, right?
No, well, I don't.
Because if you give what you get at some point, and if that's like bare minimum,
Yeah.
at some point.
No, true, because I think the notion of a relationship being 50-50 is whack. Because some days I can show up 80% and my partner
Yes.
only has 20%
Yes.
to give.
Yes.
And some days it's vice versa, and some days it's 50-50. But I think you as a person have to differentiate which relationships you're willing to go that extra mile for and willing to put that 80% in. And it's also the most attractive thing to me is consistency.
Yes.
Like you can be going, you can say things, but are you consistently being that person? Are you consistently doing what you say you're going to do? Because let's be honest, lots of people can love bomb you and sell you dreams, and I think, well, I know I fell into a lot of traps younger of people being like, that can give you the world, or like,
I can show you the world.
yeah, nobody's gonna love you as much as I do. I'm like, please. Such like, but yeah, I think those perspectives is like so important to have, especially when you get older, because that notion of things being so disposable, especially in like romantic relationships. Like I said, have your non-negotiables. Like you can't be like emotionally, verbally, physically abused or whatever
Yes.
your other non-negotiables are. But if your partner slips up, like have that grace for them, because we want unconditional love, so we have to give unconditional love. And I think it's also a feeling, because I'm very big on energy. Like when the person is your person, because
Look, I don't know if I agree with you there.
You don't?
Because I think I've felt that before,
Yeah.
like an energy towards someone, but then it just,
clouds your judgment.
and it doesn't click beyond a certain point, or you get like sucked into it again and again and again, and it's like, it like just takes you by storm, and then you feel all like the positivity
Yeah, yeah,
around
yeah.
it, but then it hits like a ceiling. And that's where sometimes I've lost the ability to trust my intuition sometimes.
That's interesting. Because for me, I do think it is a feeling. But I think a lot of what we're talking about as well, and how you view things, comes with emotional maturity. Because obviously how we saw things when we were in our early 20s and how we see things now is completely different.
Maybe, maybe not. It depends. It depends.
That's true. But if you're talking about like green flags and romantic relationships,
Yes.
I do think we owe credit to our partners for being able to have this perspective now.
Yes.
And I think it also comes from a deep sense of love for them, that you're willing to see or challenge like the status quo, or challenge what you've been so unconsciously led to believe, that this is what love is meant to look like, and this is
Yes.
what a green flag is, and this is a red flag, and
It's
yeah,
different for
it
everyone.
is different.
And then I think just to maybe close out, what is one sort of green flag or emotionally, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but like something that makes you feel good and safe within yourself that you've been exposed to by either like a friend or a partner, that you would consider something that a good relationship should have?
I think for me, and something I'm learning, is when people are sharing their perspective, or if it's like a really challenging situation, our mindset is to always, number one, want to share, oh, I've also been through this. Or number two, oh, don't worry, like the universe is doing this for you. And I think just being able to sit with someone and be like, oh, Priyanka, you're having a bad day. Like, I'm really sorry. And allowing you space to speak about it, sitting with you through that moment, to me, means so much more than someone being like, oh, Priyanka, get over it. Like, there's like bigger things that are going on in the world. Like, people are dying. You know, I think just having someone being able to validate your feelings without wanting to fix it, is like the top tier green flag
Yes.
for me. And the person in my life that does it so well is my dad. My dad just has this energy, like, and living with three women, I don't know how he's survived, because like if I have to describe our personalities, my mom is like extra hot, my sister's hot, and I'm like the medium.
Yes.
So my poor dad had to go through a lot of a lot of women in his life, but he has such a calming presence, and we tend to, as women, get like so emotionally like overwhelmed in moments, but he has this ability to just sometimes just give you a hug without saying anything. And it's amazing how it like regulates you and just makes you feel like safe and grounded. And my partner also has that ability. So I think having that characteristic in like your friendships or relationships is so important to me. Yeah. What are those for you? What is your top tier green flag?
I think a top tier green flag for me is what I experienced with my partner. Because, like, my family, we're like all like busybodies. Like, we're like, let's get things done, and we like everything's very eccentric. Like, we're not planners. I was telling you this in the car. Like, we are not planners in my family. And then my partner comes from a very like, we need to plan everything sort of a household. But when I'm like very anxious, like I go blank. So if I need to do like 10 things at once, I'm like, I need to do this, like I don't know what to do, and then I'll just sit there. Because
ADHD brain trick.
yeah, my ADHD is like kicks in, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And he has this ability to just come in and be like, okay, tell me what you need. Okay, you need to do this. Okay, this is not the only route. You can also look at this, and I'll help you do this. And he just like maps it out for me to a point that I actually feel like, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I'm a hothead, so I'm probably like hot, not even medium when I get to like a certain state. But he has this emotional intelligence, I think it's the Capricorn in him, that if I'm a 9, he knows that he needs to be a 1.
Okay.
And he always tells me that in a situation, like even when he interacts with my family, if he's talking to my dad or my mom and they are like at a 9, he's like, I know I need to be at a 1.
Wow.
And he can put everything aside to just calm that situation down. And growing up, I've always been anxious. I've always been someone that struggled with like chronic anxiety, and to have that calming presence,
It's a lot.
it
Yeah.
helps me so much. Yeah.
Okay. Have you done so?
Yeah.